Okay, carrying on the theme of interacting between left hand and right foot, what I'd like to do now is still take the primary melody being the bass drum, but fill in my hand against that. So I have a little rule that I made up with that when I started to embark upon this specific exercise, and that is never more than 2 triplets in a row with the snare drum. So if I take number 1, it's safe because what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill in my left hand around the melody. So once again, very slowly, here's what we would have. I'll just play bass drum in left hand. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So with the cymbal pattern, and that starts to give you a little bit more triplety interaction between your left hand and right foot. Let's go to one that does not have that nice flavor of being able to fill in between like number 1 does, one that's maybe a little bit more spaced out. I will take number 8, for example, because that's 8th note, then a quarter note with 2 8th note rests, and a quarter note and an 8th note rest. Sorry, 8th note rest. So we have 1 and 3 and. So how would we do that with the bass drum? Well, again, my triplets of choice would be the back 2 8th note triplets. So when I play beat 1, I would play 1 and And so the bass drum will be the my middle beat of the snare drum would be, our middle beat of the triplet would be the snare drum. And then when I get to beat 2, there's actually no bass drum, so I'm just going to play the back 2 8th note triplets with my left hand. Beat 3 would be exactly as beat 1, middle beat of triplet on snare drum, upbeat on bass drum, beat 4, 4, and So, without talking. And I found that a nice way to create a little bit more of a triplety dialogue between bass drum and snare drum. And again, you can figure out your own rules. There is the opportunity to play the first 2 triplets, 1 and leave the out and still use that as your center point for sometimes playing the notes where there's no bass drum. But again, figure it out on your own. But you got so much stuff in Ted Reed to really extract from. I'm not the only guy to make some of this stuff up. There's a lot of teachers through the history of the Ted Reed books, printings, that have used it ad nauseum. And I don't mean that in a bad way, I mean it in a good way, because it really gives you a lot of opportunity to dig in and conceptualize instead of just seeing things literally. So dig in, check it out, see you in the next segment.